said earlier this week, kind of you knew what you could do. You felt like you knew what everybody else could do. So did that kind of go how you thought it would?
Sorry, before we really get started, can I just take you like a half step down so we've got a little bit more room for everyone? Thank you. I'll get a recording of it.
Did you repeat that?
Sorry.
Yeah. You said the other day you felt like you knew what you could do and you had a sense for what you thought everybody else could do. So did that kind of go how you thought it would in that regard?
I did, yeah, absolutely. I think Yard's smart enough, Hobbs smart enough, and I thought I was smart enough to, go with a pace that keeps, honestly, like the college guys out and some of those people that aren't going to be as comfortable at a 3:30 low race. And so I was pretty confident that was the way it was going to go. And I knew like having 12:58 5K strength compared to 2021, 2022 last year, just was going to completely change the ballgame. And that's exactly what happened.
It looked like a particularly physical race. Did that affect you at all?
No, it didn't feel too physical for me.
That kick with 2:50 to go, was that the plan all along, or was that just a gut feeling at that moment?
Gut feeling, yeah. I knew I'd never wanted to fall out of that top 5. Just always be right there, and I know, again, Yard and Hobbs were going to be the ones to watch, and just followed them, and just felt I've never been able to excel at that pace before, and you could have told me that was a 3:35 race, and I would have believed it. So, just went when I felt comfortable.
You saw that ribbon go up. What was going through your mind when you saw that ribbon right at the end?
I could believe it, but I've played that race 1,000 times in my head, and for it to finally happen like that was incredible. I was honestly I heard the crowd getting louder and louder, and I thought someone must be gaining on me, but that just helped me go through the line as hard as I could.
How did this one compare to your last Olympic trials final?
Yeah,
obviously it was at nighttime.
Absolutely, yeah, completely different feeling. The nerves are all there. I'd say, 2021 was a cherry on top of a really good NCAA season. I had nothing to lose, and I think everyone that watches and competes in this sport knows that the dog that has nothing to lose usually runs pretty well, and I felt like I had more to lose in this one, so it was kind of make that team or bust, and definitely felt that pressure, and it was just a completely different mental side of it this year, and I'm just honestly really proud of myself on the way I handled that, because it's just really hard, and I feel like so many of these athletes are just as deserving of making this team, and so when you line up on the line against all these guys that put in the same work as you, I trust that I worked hardest and as hard as I could, but that's all I could do, and again, just so many of these guys are so deserving of that team that making it top 3 is just so cutthroat, but I'm just so happy that I was the first one across the line.
In hindsight, was winning that medal in Glasgow pretty helpful in your build-up?
Yeah, definitely. It's indoor season. I think a lot of people kind of, you kind of train through it. Of course, you want to do well there, and I did really well for myself, first global medal. But knowing that I was training through it, and I just had a lot to prove this outdoor season. And half the battle was getting to the line healthy, and that's what I kept telling myself. I was like, I'm here, I'm healthy. I've PR'd in every event in the past 365 days, so I just knew I couldn't set myself up better just executing on the day.
Whether it was the win, whether it was the time, whether it was executing your plan, is there something about this you're most happy about, most proud of, anything like that?
Yeah, I think just showing up with the pressure at its highest. Even the Olympics, the pressure, it may be different when I'm there, but the pressure often is lower at the World Championships and the Olympics, at least speaking for myself, just because, again, this team is so cutthroat to make, and when the pressure was highest, I executed and couldn't have raced better, I don't think.
How did you struggle this year?
Just doing 5K work. Luckily, I have one of the best 5Kers in the world as a training partner, Cooper Tier, and I think I helped him a lot on his lower end speed, and he helps me a lot on my, long distance strength. And we're both planning on coming back for that 5K, and I think that's going to be a really exciting race. And just having that training partner just helps so much.
When you said that the crowd was cheering and you thought someone was gaining on you, you didn't think they were just cheering for you?
No.
Really?
I just thought something was, I don't know. It all happened so fast, but in my mind, Yard was coming up on my shoulder, and I was just like, get to that line.
How important was it for you to win, not just like winning?
It was important, but it wasn't the end-all be-all for this. My coach was like, keep in mind this is in the grand picture. This is another preliminary round. You don't have to pull. You don't have to go too early, prove something. It's not necessarily about the win, but as soon as I went around with 250 to go, it was win. That was the game plan.
Were you running scared the last 250?
I think a little bit. I think you have to be a little scared, but I would just get into that line as fast as I could.
Cole, 3:30 at the trials, and now going into an event at the Olympics that has a ton of global talent. What do you need to do between now and then, and what are the goals, obviously, in Paris?
Yeah, I think today was a big stepping stone in that for sure, because, like I said, you could have told me this was a 3:35 effort, and I would have believed it. And just being able to, I remember watching these races in the years past, and we're at 3:30 pace, 3:30 low, and seeing these guys accelerate, and I was just like, I haven't felt that. I haven't been able to accelerate off that pace, and today was the first day that I've really been able to just still shift gears at such a fast pace, and that gives me so much confidence. And the goal is definitely a medal, but I'm not going to limit myself to top 3. I'm going to go for gold for sure.
How do you feel it's different than it was for the Olympics in 21?
I think 21, I was just happy to be there. I'm very happy to be there again, but I think the bar is raised, and I was very happy with 6th place in the Olympics, but now I think it's the medal is the big goal, so that's how it's changed.
Well, you went really smooth in all 3 rounds and then in the final. How difficult was that for you today?
Yeah, I felt I felt in control. Of course, I wasn't pulling it from the front, but I was comfortable. I wasn't on the rail where I used to think I had to be on the rail to save running the distance. I was kind of floating in the outside of lane 1, and I was comfortable there. I was like, if this is the pace we're going, then I'm happy being here. And again, I was able to accelerate off that, and I just went. I had no idea what pace we were running, and just felt really strong.
And doing more 5K work this year, was that a deliberate decision, and if so, what prompted it?
Yeah, the 5K work was definitely a deliberate decision. 2022, I was qualified for both, had the A standard in both events, and then got hurt 2 weeks before USA's. Last year I was hurt up until about 5 months out from USA's, so I kind of I didn't get to train that long stuff, and so this is the first year it's come together where I've trained the 5K, I've trained the 15, I've trained the 800. Now get to race the 5K and see where I'm at there, but yeah, it was a deliberate decision, but the first year I really got to have all the pieces come together on the right day.
You still going to run the 5K here?
That's the plan. Yep.
Cole, one of the big things about the Olympics, different than Diamond League, is you got to handle the rounds, and the rounds, the last couple Olympics have been pretty vicious. Mm-hmm. How much confidence do you have after you ran meet record and now this 3:30 on a winning night? How much confidence do you have now?
A lot of confidence. Yeah. Round 1, I came out. I just wanted to run it from the front and get through, and I ran 3:34, and I was like, what the heck? That felt really good. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have gone that fast. But I think that tells me a lot about my fitness and where I'm at. So, yeah, I feel good about that.
Cole, when you talk about being healthy this year, what changed? What was it that allowed you to stay healthy all year long and now come away with this title?
I've just dialed down on about anything I can control. My how I'm eating, how I'm sleeping, all the really tiny, boring things. It's definitely, there's a lot to learn from coming out of college really hot, and then remembering, you can get injured, and it's not always a straight up line, and I just did not take anything for chance, or didn't want to come down to anything that I couldn't control, but just dialing in on everything.
Has it set in you're going back to the Olympics?
Honestly, not really, but it's pretty surreal. And
you haven't beaten Yard in a really long time.